So, you want to be an electrician, do you? Got the phone call from God, did you? One of the chosen few, are you? Well, all right then. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the workshop. Now, in this video, I'm going to attempt to impart some advice and some knowledge to would-be electricians out there, people who want to get into the apprenticeship and get into the electrical field. So I'll give you some advice. I'll share some advice that my grandfather told me, and I'll share some of the tools that you're going to need if you want to get into this trade. And for my regular subscribers, you guys can stick around for the pure entertainment value of me giving some advice to the young'uns. Let's do it. Okay, so you've decided to become an electrician. You're pretty good looking. You've taken the IQ test and it says that you're a genius. You want to walk around the building site like you're better than everybody else, because you are. And you never want to clean up after yourself, because that's for the peasants or the plasterers. Just give the plasterers a sweeping brush. They throw muck at walls all day anyway. They're essentially monkeys flinging their own shit. Right, it is only a vicious rumour that electricians don't clean up after themselves. I don't know who started it. Might have been the plumbers. I think they're just jealous. They go home every night smelling of crap. We go home at lunchtime smelling of money. Right, on a serious note, it is a rumour that electricians don't clean up after themselves. I don't know who started it really, but one piece of advice my grandfather gave me, he said, a tradesman always cleans up after himself. If you're finished the job and the job's not tidy, then the job's not finished. So one of your first jobs as an apprentice electrician will be to keep the site spotlessly clean. Always be looking for something to do. If you're just standing there doing nothing, watching the electrician, grab a brush, make sure the place is spotless. Make sure all the tools are accounted for. Everything goes back in the van at the end of the day. That's your job. If you can do that every single day, keep the site spotless, look after the tools and make sure everything is back in the van. That's a good start. You'll make yourself pretty invaluable. Your job is to make the electrician's life that bit easier, and if you can save him having to think about that kind of stuff, then, you know, you will be as valuable as one of his best tools. Right, now that we're on the subject of tools, let's look at the first hand tools you're going to have to get yourself. So we have the snips, the pliers, and the long nose pliers, or the holy trinity, as I like to call them. Now, some electricians will tell you there's the holy quadruple, which means the wire strippers as well. I don't use the wire strippers. I use a pliers to do everything. So you'll need your snips for snipping, you'll need your pliers for snipping, twisting, cutting, bending, and you will need your long nose pliers for getting into places where your chubby little digits will not go. And there will be times when you're trying to get that wire out of a hole or out from behind some other things, and that bloody thing just will not come out. So there's your first three. I recommend Nipex. They are slightly more expensive, but for me they are the best on the market. NWS makes some good stuff as well. Jador, Klein, these are all good tools. CK as well. Most of the German made stuff and the Klein in America are pretty good tools. Again, I recommend the Snipex. I like the bigger pliers and the bigger snips. It's up to you if you want to use the smaller ones, but yeah, bigger is always better, and these are easier to use. And they are expensive, but you are in the big leagues now. You are an electrician, which means you've turned pro, so your tools should reflect that. And most companies that you will get a job with, they will give you a tool allowance and they will allow you to pay it off. So another piece of advice my grandfather gave me when it came to tools, he said, buy once and buy good. And every time I fail to take that advice, I buy a cheap tool, it inevitably breaks, and that's money that could have went towards a good tool. So, like I say, you're a professional now, so use professional tools. Nipex, in my book, are one of the best. Okay, next up, screwdrivers. You're going to want to get yourself a good set of insulated screwdrivers. Most of the companies will be rated up to 1000 volts, and this is a set of Wera screwdrivers I have just recently picked up. They're very good. The handles are nice and comfortable. They have a rubberized grip, and they have coated tops on them with some grippy material on the tops. So the camera probably won't pick up on that if I show it to you, but there are plenty of good screwdrivers out there. Screwdrivers will wear out. You will go through screwdrivers maybe once a year or once every couple of years depending on the quality, but they will wear out, they will break, so they will be a replaceable tool. But make sure you get yourself a good quality set and good quality insulated ones. You can go with Nipex, again, CK, Klein, Wera, they're all top brands. They're not overly expensive. The screwdrivers, the pliers and the snips are a lot more expensive, but you're going to need to get yourself a good set of fully insulated screwdrivers. Okay. Okay, next few hand tools, pipe pliers or pump pliers as sometimes they are referred to. This one is pretty battered and worn, but it's been with me a long time and it's been a faithful servant. These things are extremely handy, especially if you're working with conduit, to be able to grab round pipe or even a nut or a bolt or two when you don't have your pliers or your sockets that handy with you. This I carry in my tool belt all the time. They are an essential bit of kit as working as an electrician. They're for grabbing SWA glands, PG glands, rubber glands, anything like that, for giving them a quick squeeze and a tighten when you don't want to be constantly grabbing different size spanners. These will do the job. They are essential. Get yourself a good set. Next up is a knife. Now you can go fully an insulated knife if you wish. I've never found a need for one. I just use a Stanley knife, a simple Stanley knife with replaceable blades. You always have a sharp blade for stripping cables, and this again will be used and abused. They're extremely cheap, extremely easy to use, and the blades are nice and simple to change. So I recommend get yourself a Stanley knife. Little set of Allen keys, always handy to have. If you carry these in your tool belt or in your pocket, there's millions of uses for little Allen keys. Almost every fitting now has an Allen bolt in it or a Torx bolt in it, so maybe get yourself a little set of Torx ones as well. They are invaluable, and a small set like this means you will always have a set of Allen keys in your pocket. Okay, next up, a set of electrical testers. I really like these Fluke. This is the T5000. There's also the T5600 as well. These are great little testers. You get voltage, you get amps, and you get continuity all in one meter. It's a little clamp meter right here. And yeah, it's a good quick testers just for testing if there's voltage present. You can get yourself a voltage finger as well. These usually come in a set. Voltage fingers are very handy just for touching off cables to see if there's voltage present, but do not rely on one of these. You can get false positives. It's just a quick diagnostic tool only to see if voltage present. Like I say, always check with your meter. Now, it's probably not something you're going to have to worry about getting as you're starting out. As an apprentice, you're not going to be allowed near anything live starting out with, and you will always ask the electrician if it is safe to proceed. It's another good point. If you're unsure of anything as an apprentice, ask and ask and ask and ask again. Don't be afraid to ask questions. It's one of the most important things. It's better that you ask 100 times rather than go and do something wrong and potentially create a dangerous situation for you, for someone's property, or for others. Always ask questions, never be afraid to ask questions. And yeah, that's what I'd advise to get. The Fluke T5000. Again, you won't need it when you're starting out, but as you advance into your second and third year, you will have to get yourself a piece of test equipment. Okay, the next question you're going to have to ask yourself is to tool belt or not to tool belt. Now, most electricians here in Ireland don't use a tool belt. I do. I find it absolutely invaluable. It's so easy to grab this. It's all my hand tools. I can just run to the van, grab this, and I have it with me. And strap it around your waist. It's handy, get up and down ladders, climbing into places. You don't have to keep going up and down for your tools. You can, if you so wish, have like the work pants like I have with the cargo pockets. You can fill them full of tools. That's what most guys do, but you don't want to be walking around site with your pants weighed down. Nobody wants to see the crack of your arse. So definitely get yourself a tool belt, in my opinion. I think it's the way to go. Okay, next up, tote bag or toolbox. Now, I've used a toolbox for many years and I have 5 of them now full of rubbish, which is what inevitably happens with toolboxes, which is why I switched to a tote bag and now I travel light. So I'll take you through the tools in this now in a minute. Bear in mind, these are only the essential tools that you're going to need starting out as an apprentice. You will add more to your tool collection as you go along, so I'll just show you the basic tools that you're going to need. So yeah, I recommend a tote bag. Again, I filled my toolbox full of rubbish and it weighs a ton, so you fill them full of screws and stuff that you think you're going to need that you never do need. And yeah, don't do it. Get yourself a tote bag. The only downside of a tote bag is you can't lock it, so if you're on a large site and there's some light fingers around, keep your tote bag with you, keep an eye on it, because apprentices' tools do tend to go missing from time to time, and they're quite expensive, and when you're on an apprentice salary or wage, it is hard to replace those tools. So keep an eye on your tools at all times. Now, so let's look and see what tools we have in here. So, a hacksaw. You are going to need a hacksaw for working on conduit, trunking or tray, plastic or steel. A hacksaw is essential. Get yourself a good level, although it's only for show. You're an electrician and you have an inbuilt level inside in your head. You can spot if something's a millimetre out from 1,000 yards away. These things are just to, so you don't make the rest of the trades feel inferior. Use your level. inside my box then you will need yourself, to get yourself a good measuring tape, a hammer of course, you will also need a square, very, very important. Again, keep all your cuts nice and straight. You will be doing lots of tray, trunk and conduit work, like I say, both plastic and steel, and you will be forming lots of stuff. So right angle bends, 90 bends, 45s, offsets, dog legs, all that kind of good stuff. You will do that throughout your trade and your career, so a good square is essential. Foil for obviously working with your steelwork again, getting rid of all the rough edges and all the burr of everything. A foil is essential. Next up, ear protection and eye protection, PPE. Wear it, don't be a hero. Some guys are still full of bravado. They go out on site, don't wear hearing protection, don't wear a dust mask, don't wear eye protection. It's no good when in your early 20s and being blind, getting to 40 and having tinnitus. And believe me, my business partner has tinnitus in his ears from drilling over the years, and it is no joke. I see the hell that it put him through, and you do not want to experience that. So carry your PPE at all times. If it's with you, you always have it on you, and you will use it. Set Allen keys, set of Torx. I have a bush and spanner in here and a crimping tool. Now, like I say, you probably will be not making off too many live cables or big cables, so you might need a crimping tool as you're starting out, but it's something you're definitely going to get yourself as you progress into your second year. And yeah, that's basically it, guys. So that's kind of all the tools I recommend you get starting out as an apprentice. Tote bag is the way to go in my opinion. If you feel like you need to lock your tools, go for the toolbox, but just don't fill it full of rubbish. You don't have to be filling your toolbox so full of stuff to bring it home to show your mammy, look what I've done at work today. It's not necessary. Go to tote bag. Okay, so that sums up the tools. Now, some advice for everybody who wants to get into this electric field. If you want to become an apprentice, things you need to watch out for, things you need to do. Building sites can be fairly crazy places, so you need to develop a thick skin. There's always a bit of slagging, a bit of hazing, a bit of winding up going on, and the apprentices tend to get the worst of it, especially if you're fresh out of school. You look like a 12-year-old and you're wet behind the ears, you're still fairly green. You can be caught with being asked to go and get a long stand. I've done that to a few people and they have been left standing there for quite a long time. It's quite hilarious. Sky hooks are another thing to watch out for. There's a few other ones I'm not going to tell you. I'll let you find that out for yourselves. So yeah, just develop a thick skin. Most of it is just all in good humour anyway. Anything that's over the mark, you don't have to put up with it, so don't. But most of it, if you develop a thick skin, most of it will just roll off you anyway. So that's one piece of advice for going onto the building site. Okay, next, your job as an apprentice then. Pay attention. Your job is to be the best tool that the electrician has, and if you can be that, you will be invaluable. So pay attention. If you can learn to anticipate what the electrician is going to need and have that on hand and have it ready, if you can set up the job site every morning when you get there, if you can be enthusiastic, if you can keep track of all the tools and keep the site tidy, like I said already, if you can ensure that everything is back in the van at the end of the day, and you're always there to lend a helping hand and wanting to learn, then you will be an invaluable apprentice, and people will want to bring you along and show you and give you the tricks of the trade. Watch everything, learn from everybody. Every day you get up, you will learn something you don't know, which is another piece of advice my grandfather gave me. So here I will impart to you the two pieces of advice my grandfather gave to me before he passed away. Now, he was unbelievably proud of the fact that I became an electrician. To him, an electrician was an honourable job to have. He worked on the railway all his life and he always admired tradesmen. He was fairly handy with electrical stuff himself. He did a lot of it on the railway, and yeah, he was very pleased with the fact that I became an electrician, and he actually gave me his real old meter, which I still have, with tears in his eyes the day I qualified, which was quite nice. So two things he said to me. One, when I was going through my apprenticeship, and again this might apply to you guys, is again, you can get a bit of stick, you can be treated as a dog's body. If you're working for some of the larger companies, you can be treated a bit roughly. That's how it used to be. So he said to me, if you are getting a lot of stick, keep your head down, do your work, pay attention and learn. Always learn, and say to yourself, I will be as good as you, if not better, someday. Keep that in mind. And the next piece of advice he gave me was, every time you step outside your front door, you will meet somebody who can tell you something you don't know. So that's two things tied up in that. Stay humble. You will never be an expert in everything, so don't act like it. And Every day you step outside your door, there's a possibility to learn. So learning is endless, and spend the rest of your life learning. You will not be disappointed. It's a great way to go. There's always something to be learned. And if you can keep those two attitudes, if you can say it to you, if you can believe in yourself, yet stay humble and always be willing to learn, that will stand you in good stead for the rest of your life. That is still thoroughly entertaining. I am a big child. Anyway, there we go, guys. Hopefully that has been good. Hopefully it's been informative, and hopefully some of the advice that my grandfather left to me will stand you in good stead too. Hopefully the tool advice also helps you out, and I wish you all the best if you're thinking of becoming an apprentice, or if you've started your apprenticeship. Best of luck to you, no matter what trade you are in. It's a good job to be in. You can travel the world, and one thing they will not be able to automate away is the trades. So it's a good profession to go in, and there's a shortage of tradespeople all over the world now at the minute, so it's not a bad place to be. Yeah, so hopefully you found that informative, and if you're new here, think about subscribing. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, it helps me out a lot. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I am there as man.in.shed. I'll leave links to all that below. I share on Instagram things that I'm doing out on site every day, so little quick videos. I can't make big videos on site because I can't bring the camera into most of the places I work. It would not be acceptable to the client, so I can share little tidbits of what I do, and I share that electrical stuff on Instagram. All right, guys, there you go. I shall see you in the next one, and as always, take it easy.